Imam al-Ghazali, in his book, the Ihya Ulum ad-Din, I think it's in Bab al-Safar, if I recall, he actually says about handasa, وَيَحْرَمُ التَّعَمُّقُ بِالْهَندَسَةِ. Going too deeply into mathematics is prohibited. Now, some people, if you tell engineers that today, but nuclear power came out of this, I mean, we're on the verge of environmental destruction and disaster. Like, we've got the polar ice caps melting, all these things happening, and it's largely a result of science. And if you read, there's a book that came out recently called Infantissimals. Did anybody see that book? It's about the attempt of the Catholic Church, and it worked for about 200 years, of stopping the mathematical concept of infantissimals coming in to the schools. So they actually prohibited it. Now people say, oh, it's evil, and that's because they're against knowledge, but they actually were worried about what it would lead to. And so, in the end, it's the wheel of fortune. People think this stuff is all good, but it might be in it. And that's where, if you have tawfiq from Allah, I mean, look, kullu amrin ذي bad لا يبدأ ببسم الله فهو أجذم فهو أقطع. Everything that doesn't begin with the name of Allah and then in the name of Allah, everything, kullu amrin ذي bad, every matter that is important or momentous that is not consummated with Bismillah, it is cut off from barakah. And so that means all of this knowledge that these shayateen have developed there's no barakah in it. The car, to me, is like one of the worst inventions ever. And if you read Henry Ford and that guy, see what type of a person he was. But the car, I mean, look at more people are killed by the car every year. The wars, people have no idea how many people are killed. Like, you're dealing in the millions. This is a holocaust of unprecedented proportions from cars. Not to mention all of the pollution that comes from cars, all of the animals that have been killed by cars. I was once arguing with a this was in my younger days when I used to argue a lot. But I was arguing with this Arab taxi driver about how evil cars were. I was probably 22 or 3. We were in the Emirates. I remember this very well. And I was saying, Wallahi hadi sayyara min shaitan. He said, La wallahi ya akhi, hadi sayyara khair. Right when he said that, he struck a cat. I swear to God. Right when he said that, he struck a cat. And I said, I rest my case. That's what I said to him. I said, I'm miskeen, haywan miskeen. Eesh dhanbuhu. Asphalt. Think of how many people have died because of asphalt. Children, all those children on the playgrounds, they used to have dirt. They'll fall on dirt. They don't die. Might get hurt a little bit, bruised. Now, asphalt. Finally, there's in rich places in America, they're making it like earth. It's plastic because some company like DuPont, right, poisoning the planet, worked out that, oh yeah, hey, we could sell them, petroleum byproduct that their kids, when they fall off the monkey bars, they won't break their necks on the asphalt. I mean, when I first got my driver's license, they used to have they had a film you had to watch called Red Asphalt. It was about all this gory, what happens when you drive around. So, I'm totally against cars. If I could give up a car, I would. I really would. I hate cars. I hate planes. Planes are another evil invention. Kills millions of people. Untold numbers of people have died from planes. Bombs, aerial bombing. And if you study who invented the rocket fuel, right? Like, Werner von Braun, the German Nazi that they brought, Operation Paperclip, brought him into the United States with all those other Nazis. They brought the brilliant Nazis to the United States, and then they sent all the torturers to Egypt and Syria. The Nazi torturers taught all the Syrians how to torture people. That's why they're so good at it in Syria, because they learned from the masters. That's all history. I'm not making that up. You can look at that. They were in Egypt. All those Nazis were living in Egypt, right? Who got them out? They knew where they were. But if you look, Werner von Braun, right? He's called, you know what they call him at NASA? The father of the space age. That's what they call him. You know what he said? I'm not the father of the space age. That's the real father of the space age. Okay, now this guy, who was at Cal Poly Tech, right? This guy, Jack Parsons, was openly a devil worshiper. He developed the fuel that enabled us to penetrate the stratosphere. Satellites could not have come about without this guy. In his diary that he himself wrote, he had a dream. This is 1948. He had a dream where he saw somebody that he calls Belial Dajjal. And he tells him, you are helping me. Okay, I'm not making this up. You think I'm making this up? Wallahi, I'm not making this up. You go look it up yourself. Okay, so where's all this stuff coming from? Seriously, where's it all coming from? We're in the age of the Dajjal, you know. It's just Allahu Alam, when and where and what, but this is it, people. As far as I'm concerned, it's end game. Huh? That's why Allahu Akbar, water and prayer and Qibla, can't take that away from us. So just keep doing, you know. I mean, Khabbab wanted to, you know, he wanted to ask for death, you know, and he was with the Prophet ﷺ. Can you imagine that? Wanting to ask for death and you're living with the Prophet? So what about the age of the Dajjal? People will go by graves saying, would that I was in his place. Laytani makanahu. So we need to prepare as much as we can, you know, but the technology, if you study where all this technology comes from, okay, you know, read about the magic and the Enlightenment period. All these scientists were magicians. They were all into black magic. You read about Francis Bacon. I just read a biography of Francis Bacon called Knowledge is Power, Magic and the Creation of Modern Science. Francis Bacon was reading all these magical books. 2001: A Space Odyssey. What's his name? No, the guy that wrote it. Arthur C. Clarke. Arthur C. Clarke, great technologist. He actually has most of the patents that enabled the satellites, right? If you look at his interview with BBC in 1961, where he predicts the internet, he predicts the cell phones, he predicts texting. He said that by the year 2000, people are going to have handheld devices that enable them to talk to anybody anywhere, right? Arthur C. Clarke said, and he has 3 laws of technology. One of his laws is no technology reaches a level of complexity except it becomes indistinguishable from magic. So, you know, I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a Luddite, right? I'm using a microphone right now. I'm not a Luddite, but this whole worshipful attitude towards technology to me is really stupid. And if you want to read an interesting book, it's called Giving Up the Gun, which is about the fact that the Japanese chose consciously to ban the gun. And they did it because of the samurai lobby. Because the samurais thought it was disgusting that a man could spend 30 years becoming a master swordsman and some idiot could pick up a gun and just kill him. They just thought it was just so unaesthetic. And so they outlawed the gun, even though the Japanese were making the best guns in the 16th century on the entire planet. They had solved the problem of the water because they used to go out when it was wet or damp and the powder got damp. They actually had waterproof powder kegs in their guns in the 16th century. And we know Japanese technology. I mean, it just took them a little while to get used to the cars, and now they're making better cars than any of the American cars. I mean, the Japanese have itqan when they do things, but they outlawed the gun. This whole idea that because it exists, oh, why do we do it? Because, you know, it's like these people say, why did we climb Mount McKinley? You know, or what's the K2? Is that what's K2. What's the tallest mountain in the world? Everest. Why do we climb Mount Everest? Because it's there. I mean, what a stupid thing to say. That is so dumb to me. It's like these Sherpas down at the bottom. The only reason they'd ever climb that is because you're paying them. They've been at the bottom of that mountain for centuries. They never thought about climbing. It was like, I'm not going up there. You know, and what do they get up there? You know, they get up there and they can't breathe. First indication you're probably not supposed to be there. But they literally get blown off the mountain by wind. You know how many people have died? That British lady who left her kids in England to go climb Mount Everest. She got blown off. She orphaned her children. SubhanAllah. Well, because, we should do it just because we can. Just do it. These are demonic slogans of this age. Just do it. You know, no limits. I mean, who made that one up? No limits? What do you mean? All you are is limits. You're limited in your space. You're limited in the decibels that you can produce. You're limited in your breathing. You're limited in your intellect. Everything's limits. No limits? What are you talking about? Stupid people. No, seriously, just mad people. Anyway, time to pray.